Toolbox Theater Roundtable continues for the show Heaven Can Wait. With us is director Richard Lemin and cast members Clinton Joseph, Chris Harris, and David Patterson. For this roundtable, I'll ask a question and we'll move down the row for answers, starting with Richard. Since this play is about heaven, Richard, who would you like to meet when you get there?
Well, first of all, having spent most of my adult life in the theater, I'm not sure that I'm guaranteed a ticket to heaven. But I've always said that being kind of a history buff, I know most of my other fellow actors would probably say they'd like to meet William Shakespeare, but there's a better person to meet from that time period. I would love to meet and have dinner with Queen Elizabeth I. I think she's one of the most fascinating figures of all time. And I think, sitting down and having dinner with her would be kind of fun.
Clinton?
I really want to meet the author Michael Crichton. I read all of his books when I was younger. He was kind of the person that I learned to really read with, and I just think we'd have some really interesting conversations. He was a very intelligent person with some great ideas.
Chris?
I would like to meet any of the Bronte sisters, but mostly Emily. She was a fascinating person, very independent, and of course Wuthering Heights is brilliant, so I would very much like to sit down and chat with Emily Bronte.
David?
Well, I'm sort of a political buff, and when I was growing up, I was always fascinated by Lyndon Johnson, so I'd like to go to heaven and meet LBJ.
Richard, tell us about the appeal the play has for you.
Well, of course, it's one of those classic comedies, 1938, kind of a screwball thing. I think the main thing about it is one of the songs that we've added in the show, Joe plays it on his saxophone as time goes by. There's a wonderful line in the lyrics there that it's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory. And that's basically what this show's about. Joe falls in love with a girl after he dies and then does everything he can to make it back to this world so that he can be with her.
Clinton, what do you like about poor Joe Pendleton, your character, called to the hereafter 50 years too early?
I like that Joe is willing to put his all into anything, even if he's not particularly good at it. He tries really hard to be the best boxer he can, and he is. He tries very hard to be a good pilot, which he's probably only pretty good at. And he tries extremely hard to be a great saxophone player, which he's not.
Chris and David, you both play people from the other side, the hereafter. How did that affect the way you saw your character?
Well, it didn't affect it a lot because she's, Messenger 7013 is brand new at what she's doing. And she's, though she makes a terrible blunder, she tries to fix it. She does it out of the goodness of her heart, this terrible blunder. But I think that she is so new that she doesn't have the heavenly demeanor quite yet.
And David?
Well, when I looked at the character, I realized that I lived and existed in heaven. And so as in heaven, there is no time. There's no clocks, there's no dates, there's no, no calendar or anything. And so my approach was to be, and there needs to be a sense of importance as to what they were doing, but not really a sense of urgency, because there really isn't a need for urgency, because in heaven it is eternal and everlasting. So when things get done, things would get done. The other thing I approached my character about was, I noticed in the script was that Joe Pendleton was only 23, but yet his parents were dead. And so there are times when I'm working, when my character, Mr. Jordan, is working with Joe Pendleton, there were times when I could see him, my character, almost taking and offering fatherly advice and helping shepherd Joe Pendleton along.
And Richard, when does Heaven Can Wait run?
We open on Thursday, September 29th.
And it runs through...
Oh, yes, we run through October 23rd.
Thank you. Clinton, what days can we see you in the play?
Thursdays through Saturdays at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 2:30 p.m.
Chris, what are the ticket prices?
The ticket prices are adults are $20, and students and seniors are $15.
And David, when can we call the box office?
Tuesday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., and that number is 521-1786. Let me repeat it, 521-1786.
Make reservations now.